Are you struggling to accept yourself? Well, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the true gift of self-acceptance. Stay tuned. Hi, this is Simon Lovell bringing you growth in under 10 minutes. And as always, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell to make sure that you get my regular updates and be notified of my daily videos. Now, if there's one thing that I know really lights us up and gets us to a whole new stage of our lives, it's when we start to really accept ourselves. But you may be thinking, Simon, how do I do that? Well, for me, for many years, I was wearing a mask and I was living a life that wasn't being true to myself. And I went through a massive spiritual awakening where I found home. And I talk about this dot, where that's our truest self. And then we take certain actions that bring us home and closer to who we really are. And for me, that came in a few different stages. But the big thing that really helped me was to bring up the things that I wasn't willing to talk about because I had guilt around that or I had shame. So when I was very young, I basically had a sexual experience with another boy and I didn't want to talk about that. Why? Because I created these stories around what my dad would think and what other people would think, and it honestly ate me up inside, and I put a box around myself. And I know that a lot of people do that too, which is to create a box around ourselves, which is like, oh, I'm the only person going through this. And once again, this is an illusion. And so even though I told maybe a couple of people about that a few years ago, what happened was once I started to share that once in a safe environment in a group, and I actually spoke about it, it's that thing that we hold here that we find it really difficult to express, that creates massive transformation, because so much transformation happens through the throat. But what happens is we get shut down in different stages of our lives, right? We have an event that's happened in the past and we have the opportunity to speak up, but we don't do it. One of the most powerful things that we can do is to heal that inner child. I did an exercise the other day where I had to go back to the event when I was bullied when I was a kid and walk myself through a different scenario of how that might have played out. So I want to ask you a question. If you've been through something in your past and you've not spoken up about it, what would have happened had you spoken up? You see, in my life, I know that if I had gone through my life and I'd spoken about this experience that I'd had when I was young more and more often, then it wouldn't have damaged me later in my life with the addictions and the other things that I had go on. And so we have these life events and we've got to start to express ourselves. And it's in that self-expression that we actually go into acceptance. This is me. This is my story. This is what I've been through. I've taken drugs. I've gambled. I've had sexual experiences when I was young where I was experimenting. I've had businesses that have failed, and I'm just fully owning. I'm fully owning. And the more that we do that, the more that we're willing to just speak up and speak. And that's what it's really about, just actually speaking up and not fearing an outcome from a parent or a family member or someone else that we think is going to shut us down. We get our power back. You see, self-acceptance is about getting our power back, speaking up and owning what we desire, because this is me, right? Going back to the movie, what's the movie, Mark? I mean, the Greatest Showman. I've got my friend here and he's prompting me. The Greatest Showman, that movie, which is about being you, right? Self-acceptance is about owning yourself, owning your journey. And when we actually speak up and say, this is actually something that I don't like about myself, that's something that we then can go and improve upon it. But if we don't own that, how can we solve it? I'm actually sat here with a client of mine and it just reminds me about his journey, and when we met, in 2017, and he's had massive growth. I'm actually here for his wedding in Colombia. And if he wasn't willing to speak up about what was really going on in our initial conversation, I wouldn't have been able to help him get through that and move through that. So you may also be in a situation where you need to start speaking up about that thing that is uncomfortable so that you can get help, so that you can get support, so that you can move through to the next stage of your life and live a truly authentic, congruent, happy, fulfilled, purposeful life. Own your journey, own the struggles, own the pain, and share. And if you don't get the response that you desire, maybe it's time to find a new group of friends. Maybe it's time to find a new peer group. Maybe it's time to find a new area to live in. It's okay to make those changes. Do what's right for you. That's the magic and the power of self-acceptance. I'll see you in another video. As always, hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell to make sure that you get regular updates. I'll see you very soon.